Welcome ladies, gentlemen and all else to another video. We've got 3 pretty badly written creepypastas here for you today, all dealing with the Call of Duty franchise, and we're gonna go through them to see what we may find. Now, this series, which probably needs no introduction, is no stranger to horror. Just take a look at zombies or the ambience from World at War, the list goes on. Did anyone ever see that one video, the Ghost of Underpass from MW2? That video was my jam back in 2010. It'll be exciting to see how certain authors may have attempted to make COD even scarier than that, and we'll be the judge on whether or not they succeed. And from the looks of it, judging by the categories each story is labeled under on the Creepypasta staff training wiki, they do seem to have all been written with serious intent. These stories were most likely originally written to scare you. Let's keep that in mind as we proceed. And if any of the authors of these stories come across this video, no hard feelings, yeah? I'm not criticizing you as people, but your stories. And I have no doubt that if you keep writing, you will improve. What point is there to waiting? Let's dive right into the stories we've got here. Our first story is known as Call of Duty 6.66 Reich. That's a controversial title to say the least. Let's see what it's about. It all started when I was walking in the woods with my friends when I came across a Call of Duty PC game. Oh, just out in the woods, right. I picked it up and observed it. The title was Call of Duty, but it was in red and the picture was quite disturbing since there was an explosion and some droopy stairs with shoes on each step leading to a path towards the explosion. I figured this could be Call of Duty 1 because it didn't have a name, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops, World at War, etc. But I know Call of Duty 1 picture does not look like that. Oh, man, to see the world through the eyes of a master detective, it's astonishing. Story build-up seems like a foreign concept to many bad creepypasta authors, doesn't it? We're plopped straight into the story with no further explanation. When I went home, I put the game in my computer and there were 3 files. Call of Duty 666 Reich icon. You got the spelling right in the title. Call of Duty 666 Reich setup/death. die/game.exe. I clicked on die/game.exe, then a menu came up instantly. There were 6 options: play, die, options, what you've done, 666 rules, leave at your own risk. I clicked on play, then numbers repeatedly flashed on the screen, then I received a phone call. I didn't look at who called me, but all I heard was Hitler's Spiak? I hanged up, but then received a text which was from an unknown number, and it said 666. That's German for 666. 666, devil's number. Thank you for clarifying, I would have had no idea otherwise. Jesus Christ. I nervously looked back at the computer screen and the numbers were still flacing. Several seconds later, the word gut popped up on screen. It was either saying gut as in guts or good, which is gut in German. When did this suddenly turn into a German lesson? Was ist los? The game started. It was a first-person shooter just like Call of Duty 1 and the others. Like pretty much every Call of Duty game, unless you count some of the third-person stuff that was in some of them. The character was in a room, a small room with a stuffed bear on the floor. The character had no weapons but a knife. I stabbed the bear, then there was a loud scratching sound, then the character got a pistol and put it to his head, then fired. Teddy bear abuse is not allowed here. The game closed with an error message saying your life.exe won't end. You're lucky. I will find you soon. Your life.exe. If only we could make it run better. I was incredibly shocked, but I then noticed that I wasn't even playing Call of Duty 666 Reich. I just placed die/game.exe. I clicked on Call of Duty 666 Reich setup/death. That was the biggest mistake I have ever made in my life. Wow, I've never heard a sentence like that in a creepypasta before. The game instantly started with no menu or anything. Everything was pitch black on the screen, escaped from Hitler. He was slowly walking towards me from a distance. I blinked, then he was right in front of me, in parentheses, on the screen. His face turned pale, then that same scratching sound I heard when I stabbed the stuffed bear went off again and the character collapsed and died. Then the screen went black, then it went straight back to Hitler's face. Pale and mouth open scratching. Has the evil spirit of Hitler possessed this game or something? Scheisse, scheisse. I closed the lid of my laptop in horror, but then the scratch got louder than ever. My ears were stinging horribly. Then I left the house. Fear overtook me as I saw every house was destroyed and Nazi flags were everywhere. Oh no, did you step inside a time vortex or something? This is something else, dude. I collapsed. I woke up in, well, I don't know, a pitch black place just like on the game. Hitler was sprinting towards me as he was scratching and he was very far away, but I was paralyzed, so there was nothing I could do but suffer as somehow my internal organs fell out one by one. That's a sentence I never thought I'd see in a Call of Duty creepypasta. As I was screaming in pain as I was looking at my organs fall out, I shouted to myself, how the hell can my friggin' guts be falling out? Then I squeezed my eyes closed, then I remember that on the game I blinked and he was right in front of me. Oh crap! I opened my eyes. Screech! That was beautiful. That was amazing. That was the unintentionally funniest thing I've read in a while. Do I even need to explain why? That story was so scary, and all of that disjointed World War II imagery definitely made sense. I'm shaking as I speak. In order to provide constructive criticism to this one, I'd have to sit down for hours, to be quite frank, so my first piece of advice towards this story? Hit delete. I guess it's too late for that now. What a bummer. I have but one thing left to say to this story. Die Geschichte war schrecklich. Now then, let's move on to story number 2. This one is simply titled, The One. Is that a reference to the World at War track of the same name, perhaps? I love that song. So let's take a look. One day I decided that I was going to play some Modern Warfare 2 Call of Duty. Thanks for clarifying, what else would it refer to? I went over to my PS3, turning it on. I went straight to multiplayer. When I selected online, things started to get a little weird. Instead of showing me options for what type of game I wanted to play, it showed a server list. This was also weird because MW2 drops you directly into the game and does not have a server list. There were only 2 servers that appeared, one titled The One, spelled as TH30N3Z, and the other titled Go Here First. Confused, I selected Go Here First and was placed on a small flat map containing nothing but the other players. There was one player with no name at all on his mic. He repeatedly said, "Do not go on the ones or you will be forever ruined." One player said, "What the heck is happening and why is my game all jacked up?" There was no response and the server closed down, leaving only the ones left. Out of curiosity, I went on the server. You broke the rules, damn it! Did you not hear what the other player said? And was greeted with this. All of the players from the other server were on here, and were all on my team. Each player was on a heli shooting at something. I looked on my player list and found there was only one entity on the enemy side, named The One. Ooh, that's epic. This will be a battle long remembered. When I started to walk around, I saw what looked like a huge player about 3 times the size of everyone else. He had a huge axe and was chopping down all the helicopters. Whoa, what a badass. I attempted to shoot at the thing with a million thoughts buzzing through my mind. It looked at me and said, "You messed with the One and now you will pay." I was then kicked from the server and the text box said, "You cannot hide, for we are the ones." I was dumbfounded and annoyed. What the heck is this anyway? You know, hackers are able to do some crazy stuff with older COD games, so this doesn't seem too out of the ordinary, to be honest. I wanted to know what that thing was, so I backed to the other server which had reappeared. When I went on, the no-name player had returned. Immediately I yelled, "What the heck was that thing?" No swearing in my Christian creepypasta. The player then asked me if I went on the server. I told him yes and again yelled at him. He said, "Burn the game, for it is corrupted with evil." I asked what he was talking about and why I should burn the game. All he said was, "It will save your life, for you cannot hide. They are the ones." Again I was kicked from the server. At this point I realized this was probably a dream and went to sleep. What, so going to sleep in your apparent dream will take care of all your problems? All night I had nightmares about the one chasing me. When I woke up I went to go play PS3 to see if it was a dream. I booted up COD and was taken to the main menu. When I went online, everything was normal. I sighed with relief and went to Spec Ops, and things got weird again. Every time I played a mission, the one would run out and kill everyone, AI and me, and Shepard would say, "What have you done?" I screamed aloud, not wanting to give up the game. Every scenario was the same. Every campaign mission, every special ops mission, online, the one just kept coming. I looked online for a solution to my problem. Someone told me to rake the disk and put it in my PC and then clear the virus. I did this and somehow it worked. I then continued to play my game. Ooh, that was quick. Part 2. 4 months after the incident, I was watching TV when a special news alert came on. It said a long list of kids were murdered by a tall man wielding an axe. Oh no. I was a little scared, but went on with my day. That afternoon, my friends came over to play some COD. We selected multiplayer and chose our characters. Strangely, there was a character named The One. I was a little worried the stupid virus was back. We started the game and we were all on one team. Immediately we were attacked by The One. I yelled, pulled out the disc and threw it on the ground. I then stepped on it, but the game was still in perfect condition. You just stepped on it, what did you expect? I couldn't break it at all. Did you even try? I told my friends to go home and I'll invite them back later. I sat in my room for hours thinking about The One. I then heard a knock at the door and looked downstairs. My mother answered it, saying a tall man was looking for me. I told her to tell him to go away. She did so and was thrusted aside by the man. I ran upstairs and hid in my closet. I sat there, motionless. Slowly the man came in front of my closet and said,
"You cannot hide, for I am the One."
I heard a gunshot behind me, and the One fell to the ground. My dad stood holding a pistol aiming at the One. Calmly he said, "Let's go take this to the police station." Damn, what an intense action sequence. I was at the edge of my seat. Epilogue. The police discovered that he was a part of a large hacker group called The Ones, who used online games to get data about people so they could find and kill them. I was glad that I survived that horrible thing. Note, this is my first time writing a creepypasta, and I hope you like it. Well, for a first attempt, honestly you could do much worse, as the first story we covered proved. This one here was just mediocre and way too padded for it to be interesting or fun. It was hard to top the 666 story after all. I'm sad to say, but this one was just pretty boring. It didn't catch my interest in the slightest. Definitely work on formatting the story in a better way, yeah? Huge paragraphs such as these make it very difficult to read. The whole secret society of hackers murdering people was a crazy twist. And what a complex hack, making the entire game behave differently and everything. At least the twist wasn't that some supernatural force was possessing the game or something, and that would have been much worse. Oh well, the story still could have used a lot of work and went around in circles way too much. It wasn't good, but I do believe the author will do better in the future. This was just a creative misstep. With that said, let's move on to our third and final story. Modern Warfare Suicides. That's an eye-catching title. Hi. I created my account today to tell you of the experience I recently had playing the game Call of Duty Modern Warfare. About 2 months ago I bought an apartment. I moved into my apartment and unpacked my stuff. I brought with me my Xbox 360. I had only 3 games, which were GTA 4, Call of Duty Black Ops, and LA Noire. I automatically plugged up my Xbox and began to play those games. After a few days I grew bored of those 3 games, considering I had done nearly everything there was to do in all of them. I went to a small game store next to Citgo gas station in my town called Game Depot. They have a variety of NES games, PS1 and 2 games, and even some arcade games. It's a small store, so there isn't a very large amount of Xbox 360 games. I looked around and saw only a few of the small games that weren't very good. I saw Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. The Call of Duty 4 game case had, written with blue Sharpie, "Nick's game, please return if found," smiley face. I decided to go with Call of Duty 4. When I returned to my apartment, I immediately inserted Call of Duty 4 into my Xbox 360 and began to play. Everything seemed normal until the start menu. The soldier that usually stands close to the screen with an assault rifle was far away on his knees, sobbing it seemed. I thought it was a hacked game, and being a small hacker myself... Yourself... what? And you could deduce all of this immediately? Wait a minute, you just bought the game, so you would have no knowledge of how the game is supposed to be normally, unless you had already looked up gameplay of it or something, but you never mentioned doing that, so how do you know all this stuff? I played the mission where you control the AC-130. There were bloodstains. Ah, the first mention of blood in the video. We made it so far. On the buildings, and I thought that maybe it was a horror mod. I then gained control over the AC-130, and that's where I began to be scared. The explosions from the AC-130 was blood red. Wow, we're really going at it in the final stretch, aren't we? And the screams of the enemies were much louder than the NPC talking in the AC-130 sounds. Wait. Blood? In a Call of Duty game? Stop the presses. I went back to being on foot, and dozens of dead bodies were lying on the ground with pistols in their hands, including the people helping you. I shut down my Xbox and didn't play for about a week. Don't let this guy play Spec Ops The Line. He would abandon video games forever. I came back, and this time the man on the start menu was lying on the ground, seeming dead. I began to play other missions, but the dead bodies with guns in their hands just kept appearing. I played the last missions and everything seemed okay. I got to the end and held the gun up to that's not how you spell his name. I aimed and then tried to shoot, but nothing happened. The controls completely shut down and I couldn't do a thing. My character put the gun down, then held it up again. He turned to Price as Price then shot himself. The character turned back and faced the gun and shot, killing himself as well. I shut down the Xbox again. I then returned the game to Game Depot, and the man at the counter, with the name tag Nick, asked me if I finished it. Oh, everything makes sense now. I replied, "Not exactly." He said, "Well, that's a shame. I heard this was a very chilling game in some parts," and smiled. He told me to have a nice day and don't feel too low in spirits or I might be hurt. I moved out of that town and haven't been back. Nor will I be ever. Man, you moved out of town because of that? Because you saw dead bodies in a game about war and because the main characters died at the end? Why? Seems like a bit of an overreaction to someone's little hacked game pet project, to be honest. Here we are faced with the opposite problem than what the one suffered from. Here the story is way too short for us to learn anything or for any information to sink in before we're suddenly done. Nothing was even scary about that, and when you get down to it, not really that unordinary from what you'd see in a normal Call of Duty game, minus the suicides at the end, which served no narrative purpose whatsoever and was completely pointless anyways. What was this Nick guy even attempting to convey here? Did he just want to mess with someone? Because he obviously succeeded. He made our protagonist roll out of town. Maybe that was his master plan. Maybe he just didn't like our author and decided he wanted him out of there. What is this theory I've discovered? Oh no, Nick is onto me. The one hacker group is onto me. Hitler's evil spirit is onto me. Oh no! Now, where was I? Well, that's basically all I have for that story. It was lacking in detail, explanation, and any semblance of effective storytelling, and therefore it fell short. Simple as that. And that should be all I have to say about every story we've covered today, so that should be that, I think. I hope you've gained... something? With that said, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and post your thoughts down in the comments below. You can subscribe too if you want to. If you're interested in updates for the channel, you can check out my Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, and if you're feeling extra generous, you can check out my Patreon page. And if you want to support my channel while joining our cool hoodlum army, you can also check out my merch store, Hoodlum Hijinks. Links are in the description. That should be all, my fellow Marines. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay awesome. Goodbye.